everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you could join me today for another video. This is Kim Betts Floral Design, where we talk about all things floral, and today we're talking about processing flowers. Now what I'm showing you here is a standard dozen roses that I've received this morning from my distributor, and this is how they come. They come dry packed and wrapped, and the first thing you have to do is remove all of that wrapping. So I cut the plastic away, and then there's a cardboard wrapping around the heads of the flowers that also has to be removed, and it's just stapled. So you have to pull it apart, remove that cardboard, and free up the flowers. And there you see the dozen. They come stacked on top of one another like that, and in between those rows there's a thin sheet of paper, and that just kind of helps keep them separate and protects them during shipment. So I've just thrown away all that packaging, and now I'm taking my roses one by one. And I like to remove all of the leaves lower on the stem. If they're pretty towards the top, I leave them, but I do remove all the ones on the bottom. And then you give your bottom a nice cut at an angle. And the reason that we cut the bottom at a 45-degree angle is simply to give the stem a little bit more surface space to take up water. Okay, so I have my flower holder. This is where I put my stems while I'm working. And this bucket already has, I don't know if you can see that, some water in the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is take some flower fish. My dog, Griffey, say hi. Say hi. That's Mr. Griffith. He's my shop puppy. He likes sitting out here while I work. All right, so I'm just going to take some flower food. This is just a packet of food I got up at the local market. And I'm not going to put a ton in there, because if you put too much in, you can actually burn your stems. So you just want to put a little bit in. There's not much water down there, so I definitely don't want to use a whole packet of water. So now my water's ready. And as I cut the stems, so you can see a closer look, you don't really have that much time. You want to get it in the water. You want to get it in the water as soon as you cut the end of your stem. These are just beautiful roses. Beautiful, beautiful roses. Okay, so we're just going to continue pulling, cutting, and putting in the bucket. And I'm going to do that for all 12 of these beautiful roses. And then you want to let them sit at least a few hours at a minimum. These roses will be used this week in different orders that as they come in. So ideally you want them to hydrate for 24 hours to really get maximum beauty out of them. I also cut off, you see the thorn. Can you see the thorn right there? Yeah. So I'm gonna cut that off because we don't want that. I just cut the tip off. And a lot of people use strippers. I don't like those strippers because I think they damage the rose, and I take really good care of my flowers. If you rip up the stem, obviously you're opening the rose up for bacteria and stress, and it's not going to last as long for you. So I just like to take the nippers. It's very easy. Just take your nippers and snip, or your floral knife, and snip off the tip of that thorn. So this is called processing your flowers, or just basically preparing them and hydrating them so that they look their very best when you go to design with them. That is a guard petal. They're not very pretty, and those are your sepal petals, the little green things. You can cut those off before you design with them if you don't like them. Just depends on, what I'm doing. And once you pull that guard petal off before you design, the flower underneath is real fresh and pretty. But I leave it on while I am hydrating them, and I remove them when I go to design with them. Now, I've mentioned before about wiring your roses. The head of a rose is very heavy, and if they get dehydrated even just a little bit, that part right there, the upper stem, will get soft and your rose head will droop. So just as a bit of insurance, I oftentimes will go ahead and wire my rose to keep them standing up nice and tall. And I'll just go ahead and show you on this last rose how I do it real quick. I just that's an 18 gauge wire, and I've cut it down to maybe about a 4-inch length. And you want to press that wire right into the calyx, which is that swollen part right at the base of the flower. You press that wire right into that part of the rose, just a little bit, and then you wrap the wire around the stem. And that gives it some nice support and ensures that the head will not droop. It also gives you a little bit of flexibility in shaping the rose when you go to design with it. You don't get a lot, but it will give you a little bit of flexibility in shaping the rose. There you go, guys. That is processing your roses before you design with them. I let them sit about 24 hours in my studio, which I keep about 75 degrees, and I just let them soak up that water. It's important to process all your flowers. These are some pretty deep purple ranunculus that I'm just letting sit as well. And I've wired some of the stems. You can see how ranunculus, they have a squirrely little stem, and they're very easy to wire. They have hollow stems, so you can wire them right up through the center. And if you don't like that droop, now if you like that droop, sometimes you want that kind of wild, free look in your design, leave it. But if you don't, I like that when I've wired right up through the center and it's nice and straight, gives you a little bit of ability to manipulate it as well. These are some beautiful anemone. They're just sitting there soaking up that water, and those are some blue delphinium in the back. But I process every single stem that comes into my studio at least for an hour or two at your bare minimum. Like I said before, 24 hours really is the optimum. And I just let them sit in my studio, and they open up and hydrate. Those flowers will be as big as my hand tomorrow. They'll be so beautiful. They'll look like a huge garden rose. And there you have it, guys. That's how you process your roses before designing in a beautiful arrangement like you see right here. Thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate it so very much. I'll see you in the next video.